Effective social inclusion and protection continues to be a strategic priority on government's list for the 2014-2015 financial year, providing adequate social protection for all, including the vulnerable, so that Jamaicans are able to take care of and provide for themselves and their families. To help fulfill that priority, there is a need for legislation to protect a particular group of persons.
A national disabilities bill to provide for further protection and legal entrenchment of the rights of persons with disabilities.
3 months later, the groundbreaking legislation was passed in the House of Representatives to improve the lives of persons with disabilities in Jamaica. The National Disabilities Act has its roots in the National Policy for Persons with Disabilities, which was created in the year 2000. Access to education, employment, health services, housing and transportation were just some of the goals of the policy. 14 years later, after a series of consultations, aspects of the policy were enshrined in law in the National Disabilities Act. The Act defines a person with a disability as one who has a long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment which may hinder full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with other persons. To ensure that persons in that category are fully included in the affairs of the country, the National Disabilities Act reinforces that a person who is visually impaired, for example, has the same fundamental rights as any other Jamaican. Another objective is to ensure that the disabled community can effectively participate in activities on an equal basis with others.
Prevent or prohibit discrimination against a person with a disability. It is to promote respect for differences and acceptance of persons with disabilities as part of the human diversity and humanity.
Under the Act, the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, the JCPD, which is now a department within the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, will become a corporation.
The function of the JCPD includes advising the Minister on matters pertaining to persons with disabilities and on current trends, policies and programs concerning persons with disabilities, monitoring the operation of such trends, and conducting public education programs in relation to the Act.
The JCPD will also be responsible for registering all members of the disabled community in a national database so as to account and plan for them. The entity will also report to a management board consisting of no less than 7 persons who are deaf, blind and visually impaired or physically disabled. As government acts on strategic priority number 5 by passing the National Disabilities Act, it is ensuring that Jamaicans with disabilities have equal access to opportunities. Things like education and training, employment, political office and public life, healthcare, housing and transportation.
This will create an enabling environment where persons with disabilities can integrate into and participate in all aspects of society.
As it relates to education and training, the law clearly states that a disabled person will be able to attend a school of their choice. The institution is also required to support the disabled person by making reasonable arrangements to facilitate their education. Similarly, qualified persons with disabilities should not be denied the chance to work in an organization, but should be treated like any other candidate. And in the event that one becomes disabled on or off the job,
that employer should be required and seek to redeploy that employee to another position. But this new position should be commensurate with the current skills and abilities of the employee, and the employee should not suffer a loss of remuneration or benefits in the process.
However, if the employer cannot move that employee to another position, the employer can indicate accordingly. Likewise, to ensure the protection of the disabled community, it is now mandatory for them to have equal access to general healthcare services, including screening, treatment, and early detection. This access is also applicable to housing and commercial premises, as the owner of an existing building should make adjustments to the property, if feasible, to facilitate disabled persons. Protection is also guaranteed if and when disabled persons plan to buy property.
This prohibition against discrimination includes offering different terms and conditions to the persons with a disability and refusing to dispose of the premises to the persons Additionally, a person who manages a premises or a facility is not permitted to discriminate against a person with a disability.
And when it comes to public transportation, as far as possible, public passenger vehicles should be equipped to facilitate passengers with disabilities.
Public passenger vehicles include motor vehicles or any other conveyance or transport by road, rail, air, or water that provides the general public with a general or special transportation service on a regular or continuing basis.
And there are harsh penalties for those who breach the Disabilities Act. For example, if an individual gives false information to the JCPD or an authorized person, they face a fine not exceeding $1 million. A similar penalty applies for corporate bodies that breach the Act. And where complaints need to be ventilated, a tribunal to be established will settle the dispute. The Government of Jamaica, acting on strategic priority number 5, effective social inclusion and protection, improving the lives of Jamaicans with disabilities by enacting legislation so they will have equal access to opportunities.